Okay, we're broadcasting. We will very soon have a live channel. Now we do. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Root, the role-playing game. Adventure in the woodlands on so many levels.
Team Noodle!
Yay!
I am Christiana Ellis, the game master for tonight's session, and we're going to be playing Root, the role-playing game from Magpie Games. Our players tonight, Paul Weimer as Arban.
I guess I'm going to have to be the adult again.
And Arban is a Falcon Ronin. I'm just planning
And
to.
I'm a falcon to be precise.
Yeah. Next, Nobilis as Lancelot, the fox vagrant.
Hey there, how you doing?
Jason Banks as Clem, the turtle tinker.
Well, hello there. That race last time was very exciting.
David Archambault as Nigel, the capybara chronicler.
Disguises, deceptions.
Disasters.
There are just enough of you for whom your species and playbook are alliterative that it feels weird when the others aren't. Which I say by means of introducing, last but not least, Libredet as Peppa, the magpie harrier.
Hello, 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 and boy, am I mad.
Yeah. So let's talk about what happened last time. Well, Lancelot arranged to get paid for going around and encouraging the denizens of Sundell to attend this competition being held to demonstrate the Marquisate's farming technology, and discovered that there's quite a spectrum of opinions in Sundell about the idea of all this new technology. You also Clem and was it Clem and Peppa that went to visit the Callaway orchards and met Jinx, who is quite the little engineer herself. The daughter of this raccoon farmer who had invented her own version of the mechanical plow and decided to enter the competition. Meanwhile, you all set up to attend this big competition, talked some local toughs out of making trouble, used the excitement as a diversion for Lancelot to sneak into Elaine, the Marquisate recruiter's tent, steal some plans, and burn her tent down. You skedaddled quickly because you had ended up with a singed tail while escaping from the burning tent, and figured would probably not do to be seen that way.
And Nigel and Albert found a secret about the clearing.
Yes, I only didn't mention that this time because I guess technically that kind of happened the time before. I suppose no. Well, you discovered that there is a hidden cache of seeds and other grains that have been set aside for some kind of an emergency, but the location and existence thereof is considered top secret as small town politics go. And last but not least, there was a break-in at the town hall where Peppa confronted, apparently, Venick the thief, who appeared to be a squirrel, threatened violence if Peppa interfered. She did so anyway and caught a swipe of a sword to her shoulder as a result, but stole the things that Venick was trying to steal, flew back to give them to the mayor just in time for Nomi, the mayor's assistant, to run up holding a fake squirrel tail and accusing Peppa of being the thief. Did I miss anything that we feel is important? I guess I didn't say the results of the competition.
Hi.
Yeah.
The
Part of part of the reasons we were able to talk the Tess down from causing trouble was because the weapons they had just disappeared.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they just walked away under Capybara's arm.
Well,
Not that they know that.
all of that business made it very fun for me to describe last episode as being one where the vagabonds both prevent and commit thefts. But so
I think we're 1-2 now.
yes. So to reset the scene that we immediately are picking back up with, the fire in Elaine's tent has been put under control through the quick action of her soldiers, which did not need to deal with the crowd because the crowd was not causing much trouble. They were mostly just standing by and watching. The fire is under control now, but there's a lot of tension in the air. And now there's a big crowd where Peppa has just swooped in holding a bag of documents and began to, she was bandaged up, but began to explain what happened. But now Nomi has come in and saying, Mayor Reese, I heard a commotion upstairs, and I found the office ransacked and this left behind, and she holds up the fake squirrel tail. And then I came to tell you immediately, and what do I see but one of those vagabonds here with a bag of what looked to me like stolen documents. And so the Mayor Reese is a little stunned. He looks to you, Peppa, but he is also looking to the rest of you who are there, which is everybody except Lancelot, and certainly including Nigel and Arban, who he talked to this very morning about, and showed a bunch of documents to. And so I think he turns to all of you and is, well, what do you have to say for this accusation?
It's completely wrong.
I mean,
You jump to conclusions. I can't fly with something like that. It wouldn't even fit on me. What is that anyway? A bottle brush tied to I don't even know what that is. But I was on the lookout for Jinx. And we thought that maybe Venick would take the opportunity where everybody is distracted to try and steal something. Nigel and I were both on the lookout. I happened to see Venick slide into the door or to the upper window of the, what do you call it?
Town hall.
Town hall, and I took off from here to go intercept him. I got hurt doing this. And I brought everything straight back to you.
As you say, you got hurt doing this. Nomi says, I observed that you flew immediately to your friend who bandaged it up immediately.
well,
Yes, but also, the mayor is right here. If I was stealing stuff, why would I take it to the person or near the person those things belong to? It makes no sense. Also, if you think that I'm Venick, I've only been here less than a day. That's dumb.
Only a day that we know of.
I mean,
Before
honest,
that, I was in Iron Vein.
Nomi, as Nigel and I have discussed with you and with the mayor regarding the thefts, the person responsible for these thefts appears to be local, having deep knowledge of local people and what they own. We just arrived. We don't know we wouldn't know what to steal if we were inclined to steal, which we are not. Clearly, the thief is someone who's deep within the community and has been here for some time, months, years, who knows? It's
And
ridiculous to accuse somebody who brings the stolen goods right to the person she stole them from.
I
also,
don't know what your explanation might be. I'm just looking at the evidence. As for not knowing what to steal or where to go, you did just trick the mayor into giving you the opportunity to pore over the entire town's documents.
Trick.
first off,
By the way, when she says that, the rest of the community is a little bit like, wait, what?
and again, Clem's like, well, so what you're saying is to incriminate the mayor as well, and not just us. Sounds to me like you're making a power push. And also, look at the size of that tail you're holding. Peppa's a bird. They need their tails to fly. She flew here. What on earth would she do with something that can't fly?
Just to be clear, as far as the mental picture is concerned, this thing is not like, this is not a sack of potatoes that weighs 50 pounds. This is,
Sure, but aerodynamic, I mean, they need their tails
Okay.
to fly.
well, yeah, but I'm just saying it's not an obvious given looking at this thing that everyone would be able to look at it and see, obviously she couldn't fly with that on. Like, that's not. Well, and besides, Nomi could even just say, well, the whole point of a fake tail was probably to throw us off the trail and make her think. So she just didn't fly with the tail on. She took the tail off so she could fly. I don't know what your plan is here, but I think everything here is very suspicious. And Mayor Reese, of course, I'm not implicating you, only pointing out that they have an entire group that are working together on this. And didn't you tell me that this is the very group responsible for a heist in Iron Vein not just a few days ago? And she's saying this, and there's a lot of people in the crowd kind of like, wait a minute.
Honestly, Mayor, your assistant doesn't know what any sort of decorum or, I don't know, subtlety is. I mean, seriously, you've been with us all night here at the competition. I talked with, pointing to the one who had the Marcussette's engineer, or the one
Oswald? No.
Oswald.
Is it Oswald? No, it's not Oswald.
The merchant is Irwin.
yeah.
Erwin. I even was here early enough to speak with Erwin and help me and Peppa help Jinx get her machine here. We've been in and around this event all day.
Nomi says, sounds like establishing an alibi to me.
Where were you then, since you seem to have gotten here oh so quickly?
She just looks to Mayor Reese and says, I was doing your paperwork so that you could attend the competition, Mayor Reese. And he does turn to you. Mayor Reese turns to you, Clem, and says, Nomi has worked for me for a long time. I don't really appreciate a stranger coming to town, and I understand this is a tense situation, but bear in mind that she and I have a history. You and I don't.
Yeah, and we also took the conversations our friends had with you and kept it quiet. Because subtlety. Obviously, you understand that, seeing as the things that they discussed with you, you might not want out in public. But your assistant, whom you've worked with for so many years, has come out and made it very, very blatantly obvious you had discussions with us before.
So I bear in mind, I want those of you who are perhaps more in tune with these things to realize that Mayor Reese is not looking more charitable towards all of you with this increasing implication and public discussion of making a big point of, oh, we didn't tell anybody about the secret things that you wanted us to keep secret,
Yeah.
and you're saying this in front of this crowd.
Okay.
He is not looking happy
Peppa
about
will
that.
pick up the sack and just place it right in front of Mayor Reese and say, I brought this to you out of good faith. I saw someone try to break into the town hall. I flew there to intercept them. I did speak with Vinnick. I stole this from Vinnick. I returned it to, and I came back to return it to you because I knew you were here. That is the truth. Whether or not my status as a vagabond means that you don't believe a cotton picking word I say has absolutely, I'll just move on in the morning or now. I'll move on. And you guys can keep dealing with your thief. And I'll just, and she brushes off her feathers and hops up onto Clem's, the back of Clem's shell and just kind of just settles down.
With all of these documents here, I think Mayor Reese does look down at it, and I think Arban and Nigel are able to recognize as Mayor Reese starts to kind of collect up what was sort of haphazardly in the bag. I think you might have a little bit of a sinking feeling in your stomach when you look and see that it does seem to be some of the very documents that you discussed with him earlier today.
Oh no. Yeah, I'll take a look. My eye will look at that, and I'll let out a breath through my beak, and and then I will straighten up and look at Nigel. Look thoughtfully at Nigel.
Nigel's just looking at just kind of stroking his chin, but not looking like he's going to say anything because he understands well enough that he's not good with words.
So I think Mayor Reese does kind of look at all of that. You see the same recognition for him, but he also does, he's kind of quiet and he looks around and he assesses the larger situation here, not just the crowd that's immediately around you, but looking over at the Marcus 8 soldiers who seem to have got the fire under control, but are definitely watching the crowd. And he collects the papers and he says to the crowd, everyone, it's been a very tense few minutes here. I think that we all need to just take a deep breath. There is no emergency right now. Let's just remember the excitement of the competition and not press to make anything happen further this evening. I would ask that everyone just right now, let's return to our homes and we can discuss any further business on any of these matters tomorrow when feelings are a bit more even-keeled. I assure you that I have this Vennick business under control. I am working on it, and we will discuss it further, and I will let all of you know the results of my investigation. And
Your investigation. Clem, at that literally Clem says, at your investigation, and starts walking towards the barn that we're all staying in.
yeah, Clem is determined to snatch defeat from the shores of stalemate here. That's all right. But so in any case, he then turns to Nomi and says, please return these to the office? He hands her the stack of documents. I'm going to speak with Elaine to make sure that we don't have a problem there. And he looks to, like the rest of you, Clem looks like he's already walked off, and he just says, my understanding is that you're staying at one of the farms in town?
Currently. Unless we're no longer welcome here in this clearing, in which case then we will leave.
I think that's premature. But I am going to investigate this.
Very well.
And then Nomi looks up and just says, you know, if they're staying at that farm, I bet that's where they would have kept anything they stole. And with that line of dialogue, I want to cut over to Lancelot, who is currently back in the Cumberly farm.
Going through the
Farm.
papers that he stole.
Yes,
But to be fair, they were not stolen from the mayor.
it's true. It's true. So, what we established at the end of the last session was that you have recovered all of these plans and managed to cover your tracks pretty well in terms of it not being obvious that someone stole sensitive papers because the whole tent burns down, but certainly your singed tail would
Yes,
be
yes.
suspicious. And so I think in reading these plans, as we discussed last time, you certainly determine that as far as what Greta wanted, which was proof that the Marquisate plans to invade and take over Sundell,
Uh-huh.
certainly seems true. It
Okay.
looks like they have an intended slow, friendly approach in the sense of it is considered a priority to try to minimize any possible disruption to the farming activity, which includes let's try not to hurt or alienate any of the people running the farms we need to continue running the farms because the whole point of wanting to take Sundell is because they have all of this great farmland. So to ruin the farmland would defeat the whole point.
Right. They are not interested in saving the village by destroying it.
Exactly. But
Smarter than most conquerors.
despite their intent, their hope that they can take it over without there being too much destruction or chaos resulting, they are on a timeline because they believe, through intelligence that is cited but not included in the reports you have, they believe that the Grand Duchy is also intending to conquer Sundell at some point in the near future. And so they want to minimize disruption, but they cannot afford to let Grand Duchy move first.
Right.
So that's what you have discovered. And as you are going through all of that, this is an example of something where I'm still getting used to this game system. As far as figuring out how to do certain scenarios. But I think what I'm going to suggest here as the way to approach this is to have you make the read a tense situation move.
Okay. And that is cunning?
Correct.
Well, I have a +1 on that, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, so the tense situation that you would certainly be aware of is I've got what I want, but not only am I now holding extremely valuable papers, but also potentially very dangerous papers. And
Right.
just kind of like, it's one thing to
Well,
say.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. Well, go
Oh,
ahead.
let me make the roll. I got a 6. So.
Okay. Okay, so on a 6, I think you are just so wrapped up in these reports, and I mean, you got good stuff here. Like at the very least, like the news is not all good, but it's certainly very much in lines with the stuff that Greta was hoping that you would be able to recover. So it seems promising, at least, that you'll be able to get paid from
Right.
her. It's not great news for Sundell,
Right.
but at the same time, you are, absorbed in the amount of detail that you got here.
I think as soon as I feel like this is something that meets her criteria, I want to turn it all over to her.
Okay, well, so I think that we didn't establish explicitly where she was,
Right.
but
So I'm gonna bundle it all back up again, shove it in my pack, and go looking for her.
okay. Are you doing anything about your tail?
Cover it with mud.
Yeah, I'm a grubby vagabond. I'm gonna drag my tail in the mud and basically, get myself grubby dirty.
Okay.
To cover it up.
Sure, sure. Let's see. I think
I mean, I'm already grubby dirty from having crawled in and out of that tent.
it's true.
So
Yeah. I think that sounds like a trust fate
okay,
move.
good thing I advanced my luck last time. Rolled a 6 plus 2 is an 8.
Okay. So with an 8, I think that it's you're finding that to cover the specific way that your tail is singed is kind of a little bit more work than you were expecting, which just means that I'm going to ask you to mark exhaustion
Okay.
as part of this. But you believe that now your tail looks filthy, not singed.
Right. And the mud will help cover up the smell of burnt fox fur, which is
Yeah,
probably pretty
yeah.
nasty.
Right.
So,
So you would imagine people will see you and go, what happened to you? But they won't necessarily say, how'd you burn your tail?
yeah.
Um,
So yes, I want to find our benefactor there, our
Greta.
employer, Greta.
okay. So we didn't establish it last time. I'm just trying to decide if she would have been, I don't think she wanted to attend the demonstration. I think she would have been,
On her farm?
on her farm. And so probably at the farmhouse, but it's like starting to get dark now. I think actually it's past when everyone else on the farm would have had like their supper.
Okay.
But so you would expect she's probably going to be at the farmhouse right now.
Okay, I'm going to go over to the back door of the farmhouse because big vagabonds never use the front door, and knock.
Okay.
I'm sure that a cook or a servant of some kind answers because if she's got a big enough farm that she's got a bunch of farmhands in a barn doing work for her, then she probably also has somebody in the house, keeping her house. So
Yeah, she's kind of a hands-on sort of person a lot of the
okay.
time, but you're right though that she's a wealthy farmer as opposed to like someone running a little subsistence job. It's like
right.
yeah. But so I think she does open the door, see you, and then just kind of say, "So how'd that competition go?"
It went well.
Are you just holding
got-
like a stack of papers, or?
I'll sling my pack off my back and pull out the bundle that I've got and just basically hand over the whole bunch and say, I think you'll find this has the information you were looking for.
And
Might want to keep it somewhere safe. I'm just a vagabond. I don't have any place safe to keep things.
She skims through it. She's a badger. So, one of the things that it's occurred to me with these anthropomorphic animal characters is that it's less obvious that when their face would go pale or blushing, that sort of thing. So, but in any case,
Eyes go wide,
yeah,
ears go back.
So there you see the face journey on this this middle-aged lady, tough as nails farmer, with the go from this, what's this? Oh my gosh, I was right. Oh my gosh, I was right. Oh, that's bad. Sort of journey. Um,
Why did I have to be right?
well, because it's the problem is she was kind of hoping that it wasn't quite such a
It's
big
bad.
deal to the Marcusate. Because for the Marcusate, it's she looks to you and is just kind of saying, I have a place where I can keep these, but I don't know. This is a bit bigger than I was kind of anticipating. I don't know if you know anything about fighting or politics for that matter.
My, me personally, I'm a lover, not a fighter. But there are some fighters among our group. I tend to hang back and not get into trouble. But that being said, if you feel like bolstering the defenses of the village was something that you needed some outside experts to help with, then I'm not saying that our people are the best at that, but we're available and we're here.
All right. Well, I'm going to need to take some of this information to the others on the farmer's circle. Maybe bring Reese into it if if he's
Oh.
not so too busy.
Don't if you please, I would very much like it if my name didn't get involved.
Well, of course. I would just as soon tell you the same thing in regards to me. Because
Of course, that was understood, was it not?
oh yes. I'm just saying, if you feel the need to mention it your way, I feel the need to mention it my way.
I think we have a perfect understanding.
Good then. So I think are you and your lot planning to stay a whole week, or perhaps we can stay longer if we talk about what happens next?
Let's I'm sure my friends will be back before too long. I will talk to them about your needs, and maybe we'll put together a proposal.
But fair's fair. This seems to be authentic, and it is what I asked for. So I will certainly. I'm prepared to hold up my end of the bargain. Is that something that you want now? Is that something you want all as a group? How do you
Okay.
want to handle that?
Out of character.
Mm-hmm.
The payment was that she was going to feed and shelter us for a week.
No, the payment was she's going to feed and shelter you for a week for taking the job.
Oh, okay.
If you came back with proof, there was
Right.
additional pay. Because it's one
Okay.
thing to
Yeah.
say, we'll try, and I will give you room and board while you try. But if you are successful, there's a bonus.
Let's leave it for now, and you can owe us, and we'll see what happens. We might need a favor in the future, so we'll see.
All right. Well, certainly, I think it would be best for us to not put it down on paper, but consider
Oh,
yourself in position of an IOU.
I will refrain from shaking your hand. And he holds up his muddy paw.
I was like, yeah, if you want to hose some of that off, there is a well out back. So,
I shall see to that immediately.
I always
And,
thought getting your hands dirty was just a figure of speech.
Oh, not always. Had to crawl around a bit to
Yeah.
get that.
All right.
Anyways, pleasure doing business with you. And they'll give her a jaunty salute and head back toward the quarters.
Okay. So I think with the rest of you, Nomi having suggested that you might have hidden stolen property there at that farm, she suggests Mayor Reese, certainly this seems to be a complex situation, but I told you that I don't trust them, and I don't trust them still. Certainly, I think it makes enough sense that we could, if they are willing to cooperate and prove their innocence, submit to a search of their current residence to ensure that they don't have stolen property there. And Reese does look to you and says, that does seem reasonable. If you would be cooperative, I would send 2 of my guards with you. They could search while you wait. I think certainly if we allowed you to just go back there right now, if you did have something there, you could hide it. So I think if you want to convince me that you are innocent and that it is as you say, this would go some way towards reestablishing trust.
I am not opposed to to the search, though I would like to watch from outside the building.
Well, yeah, I think that seems appropriate. So in any case, he gets a couple of his like sort of town security guards, which are basically like volunteer militia sorts, right? They've got some folks. They're like volunteer firefighters in the sense that they have some weapons and they do train together occasionally, and that when there's a need, they do stuff. But it's mostly, these are not like hardened professional soldiers. But he grabs a couple of those, gives them instruction while you're there. Says, accompany them back to where they're staying, get permission of the farm owner, but, see if you can get a search of where they're staying and see if you find anything. And so that's the arrangement. In the meantime, he then goes over to talk with Elaine, who is standing over there. I think looking over at Elaine, she seems at a glance to have maintained an air of dignity, or at least recovered it. But there's a little bit of a bottle brush aspect to her tail, where all of the fur on her tail is kind of still sticking out a little bit. That puts the lie a little to her apparent calm.
How much fur is on a beaver's tail?
No, Elaine, the cat.
Oh, Elaine.
Margaret
Okay,
said
never
cat.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nomi is following the mayor's instructions and returning to the town hall with the documents to return them to the office. And so these guards are accompanying you and, frankly, eyeing you with suspicion, but not being jerks about it. Are you just going back to the farm with them?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
There's-
That's Arben's plan. He'll take the rear of. Actually, so Clement and Peppa are in the lead and already were leaving. So then I guess the guards will have to catch up to them, otherwise there'll be suspicion. But Clem's not exactly the fastest of us. But
Yeah, they are trying to catch up, but not, they're not running or anything. They talk a little bit through it and then just kind of say, well, they left before we decided we were going to do this, so that it's not like they know that we're coming to do it. So,
But I'll let Nigel go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll take the rear.
well, and then they do call out to if you could hold up and come with them.
I'm just accusing my friend of stealing. I think she's prejudiced to vagabonds. And he stops and kind of turns around. Clunk, 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 clunk.
On top of his shell, Peppa is just this she basically what she looks like is a ball of feathers with no head. And her tail is just spread out. She is just in this sulky ball of feathers. It's like, I can't believe I was trying to help him. Tweet!
When we get back to the barn, I'll properly patch up your shoulder.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I wouldn't mind giving that assistant a few whacks with my hammer, though. He pats the very large hammer next to his side.
Yeah.
So, as the four of you return to the barn with this, to the farm with these two guards, they do go to the house first to just, they let the first, like, farmhand they see know that they need to speak with Greta. Greta, incidentally, as I don't think we said this explicitly, she took possession of the documents. She has them as
Yes.
planning to hide them
Okay.
herself, so.
Yep, yep.
So I think to not belabor the point, they briefly speak with her. She seems a little bit alarmed, but is like, I mean, they're just staying out in the barn. I suppose you can search the barn. And, she's thinking, I mean, I have the thing. I hope this works out okay.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. Is like, what's there's not really a good reason she would have to say no. And so they come out to the barn, and first, I think as they're approaching with the rest of the four of you, they just say, "Is there anyone in there right now?"
Lancelot is actually out by the well washing his fancy cloak.
Okay, leaving your tail muddy.
Everything. The cloak is absolutely the most important part.
Oh,
Gotta wash
sure,
that
sure.
first.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So, I think as they're approaching, you would hear them coming before they see you, Lancelot. Are you just gonna keep up what you're doing?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
definitely keeping that up. I have no idea that what they're up to. So,
Yeah. You missed all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm feeling pretty. Actually feeling pretty pleased with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And whistling a nice happy tune the way fox mouths can whistle.
I want us to take a moment to be in Lancelot's head here, because as you left the center of town, the tent of the Marquisate lady was actively
Ablaze.
burning. The chaos of the finishing competition was in process, and you had no idea about any of this stuff with Fennec.
Right.
And
So-
now
so he's-
you are aware that your friends are returning with a pair of city guards with them.
Okay, so the tune slows down a little, and his scrubbing is maybe not quite so vigorous. It wasn't terribly vigorous in the first place because he's not in a very much of a mood to start washing the rest of them. But he's definitely kind of looking with one eyebrow cocked at what's going on. But not like, oh, hey, why are you guys, being followed by guards? That's not a good sign. He's just watching, and maybe read a tense situation might be appropriate.
Well, how about this? I will.
Or not. That's fine.
Well, no, I think that's appropriate if you're thinking about this from the so if Lancelot's thought process here is, they might be coming to arrest me, and I want to prevent that. Is that kind of...
So well, it's more like, am I in danger? That kind of thing. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and read this.
Okay.
And I rolled a 7 plus 1 is an 8.
Okay.
So I get ask one question.
Right.
Um,
And then you can take a +1 when acting on the answer.
What should I be on the lookout for?
Okay. At least right now, you get the impression that this is an investigation, not an arrest.
Arrest.
Like that.
Okay.
The way, because you see your friends not in manacles
Right,
accompanying the guards. It doesn't look like they're friendly, but it does like this. You've been subject to
This kind of scrutiny
this
before.
kind of scrutiny before you. So I think what you should be on the lookout for is anything that would change that dynamic.
Right. So anything that might be incriminating
Yeah.
in the area. I'm just gonna think back. I'm not searching, I'm not looking, I'm just kind of remembering. Is there anything in the barn that I thought that at the time I thought was maybe a little weird, but might be incriminating now?
I don't know. So I mean, this might be another question, but I'm fine saying that.
Well,
no, the barn seems utterly
I can't
ordinary.
think of it. Okay, I can't
Yeah.
think of anything that I might have seen. Okay. Because that would, I mean, that's
He's not bootlegging.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep washing and just shoot my friends a look with raised eyebrows and
Yeah.
inquisitive head cocked to the side and say,
So yeah, so I think more specifically to clarify my answer, what you're on the lookout for is like these guards are looking for something that would give them reason to take action.
right, but it's town guards, not marquisate. So
Correct.
I'm feeling I don't have anything to worry about.
Okay. So in the meantime, the guards take to the rest of you, and they're looking at the barn, and they say, if you all wouldn't mind waiting here, one of us will stay with you, and the other is going to go check out the barn. Is there anything
Lancelot.
in there we should know about before we go in there?
Lancelot speaks up and says,
Or Clem?
No. Or Clem, sorry. Speaks up and says, no, but you can leave the barn doors open just in case you decide to plant something for our wonderful mayor's assistant.
Yeah. Go ahead and insult them right away. That'd be a really cool choice.
Well, certainly, I understand your suspicion, of course, but also they're not pleased with the accusation.
And for the first time, you see a face on Clem that is very much not the inquisitive, I like building things face. It is a very disgruntled and very grumpy turtle face. You can look at me that way all you want, but I've been chased out of better towns than this, and these people these friends of mine have been with me through a lot, including the noodle incident. So
Which
you
we have
can
now
shine-
established was a heist. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
You can shine my hard shell with those side-eye looks.
All right. The two guards there's kind of a moment of tension, but then the one who seems to be slightly more senior looks to the others and says, "You stay here. Of course, sir. We'll leave the doors open. We are just following our instructions, which is to search the place. If we don't find anything, it'll all be over. Or at least, for tonight."
That's fine. I'm sorry for being rude, but she rubs me the wrong way.
The two
Jim, I
guards.
got a question.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So did the mayor just pick two of the militia at random? Did it look like?
Yeah, it was basically like there were people around, and he just like the ones that were
Okay.
nearby.
Okay, then I'm going to whisper down to Clement. The thing to worry about is something already planted, not something they'll plant now. I said that softly into the turtle's ear.
Yeah. So as you are standing there, and they go and open, the big barn doors, and you're not standing far away, right? Like they're keeping you outside where they can watch that you're not doing anything, but you're close enough that you can look into the interior of the barn. And at that point, as you're looking into like this through the doors, and you see the one guard go in there and start kind of just poking around. At first, he's just kind of like looking in the stalls. He's got kind of a big walking stick that he's sort of poking through some piles of hay and stuff. And all of you looking in there and watching this carefully, note, hey, what's that bag in the far corner? I don't remember that.
Oh,
Yeah. Called it.
So, vagabonds, what would you like to do?
I
Is-
have been, nobody has informed me of anything that's going on.
So
So I'm still over there just with my eyebrows raised and
Nigel probably would have waited for you to come over.
I'm not coming over.
I think you are not actually in obvious line of sight for where
Okay.
they're standing.
Okay. So
Oh.
yeah, I'm over by the well. So not on,
Yeah,
not
so
not an immediate-
To give everyone a mental picture, at least how I'm seeing the layout in my head here, is that you are all currently standing facing the big double doors main entrance to the barn. The farmhouse is kind of off to the left, you know, your left as you face the barn, and then the well is kind of behind that a little bit. So Lancelot is not far enough away, but he's kind of around the corner of the house a little bit.
Okay.
And so he's close enough that like he heard the conversation of people approaching, but would only have seen you all if he peeked around the corner of the house, which he certainly could have done, but I think the rest of you wouldn't know where he is. You might have expected to see him in the barn, and then you didn't. So for all you don't know what that bag is. Maybe that's Lancelot's bag. I don't know.
Any number.
Yeah.
What Nigel would like to do is
I mean, this incidentally is a perfect opportunity for read a tense situation type of roles. I'm just kind of waiting to see who wants to sort of take initiative with that. I mean, potentially you even do it multiple if you're looking to. Are you waving your hand,
Yeah.
Lancelot?
Yeah.
It's like I've already done my read attention.
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
You guys, it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
I'll read it. Okay, so when Clem sees the bag, he'll read a tense situation because one, he doesn't know if that's Lancelot's bag or what Nigel did with the thing he acquired. So he wants to kind of see if he recognizes that, or kind of look around and eye his buddies, being like, "Do you see what that is? What is that?"
I'm not sure I followed all of that, but here, I gotta put you all back in your spots for a moment here.
Basically, he basically wants to read the situation as in, do they recognize that bag? Is that something we should be worried about?
Okay,
That
well, we'll have you do the roll here in just a moment. I'm just getting everyone back where they belong. There we go. Okay, so read a tense situation is roll with cunning, and I think this is certainly, since the group is kind of all in the same boat right now. This does seem like something where if you had a brief whispered conversation, like you could maybe do help on this, but it's certainly within reason because the other guard is standing right there.
Yep. I definitely want to provide help. Yep.
I like rolling with cunning. I'm good at that.
Okay, so so let's say Arbin is helping. He's kind of standing over your shoulder and looking where you look, and that.
Yeah, because
So-
I just whispered to him about my fears for
Yeah.
what might happen. So that's
Right.
logical.
Well, and so let's wait until we get the result, and then we'll determine whether the help is needed.
help is needed. Yep.
Okay. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, that is 5 and a 6 plus 2. That is 13.
Very
Well,
nice. Okay.
Nice.
So that means that you get to ask 3 of these questions and take the +1 while acting on the answers. Also, I believe that you have, let's see, yeah, and specifically because of your professional connection with Arbon, if you share this information that you're getting with him, you both get the +1 for acting on the answers.
Oh, absolutely. So the first question, is that our bag?
Well, so
The list of questions is in the move.
Oh, okay.
yeah. So the intention, is that you the list is what is my best way in, out, through, who or what is the biggest threat, who or what is most vulnerable to me, what should I be on the lookout for, who is in control here, and I will certainly. I know the primary thing that you're interested in, so I'll certainly shape your answers accordingly based on, you got a good roll.
Okay. What is my best way to not having them see that bag?
Well, so I think,
Or I'll phrase it, what is my best way of distracting them from doing a thorough
well,
inspection?
so what I'm saying is I do need you to ask one of the listed questions.
Okay.
But I understand what information you're kind of. I mean, I know the situation you're in. I'm aware of the things that you might want to try to do. So I will try to give your answers accordingly. But I need you to frame it in these categories.
So what's my best way? Now, when it says best way in or through, that means to navigate the situation, correct?
Right, yeah. So, like, for example, if you wanted to say, what's my best way into the barn, it's understood that by best, you mean in a way that won't make the guards arrest you. Right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you have a guarantee, but, like, what method would give you the best chance? Right? And so that's why what I'm saying is, like, the answer I would give you is context sensitive. So, when you say, what's my best way to get to that bag, for example, would be, I understand that you don't want the guards to get suspicious, and so when I give you the best way, that would be
Okay.
part of the
Yeah,
answer.
That'll be my first question. And depending on the answer you give me, I will absolutely share that with Arban, because at this point he may be the fastest one and the sneakiest one to get there, because I'm not very finesseful
Yeah.
or quiet.
Right. So I think that you know that right now, because it would be so inherently suspicious for you to just go in there when they've explicitly told you not to, and it's kind of right out in the open, you think that the best way to get to it without drawing suspicion would be to have some sort of a diversion, call both guards to it in a way that would allow you to sneak in there, or someone to sneak in there. And so that's one. You have 2 more questions you can ask.
I share this with Arban, and I slyly kind of nod my head to the back so that the other guard that's out with us doesn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to make an improvised attack.
Okay.
What?
Well, so hang on. You have 2 more questions you can ask if you want.
Ask a question. Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, if a distraction is what we need,
Uh huh.
and if we want to get their attention away from the barn,
Mm-hmm.
then let's just say perhaps I might go into my shell and sneakily throw a nut or bolt at Lancelot, who is not technically near the door.
Okay.
If it's hard enough to make him yelp, then
Mhm.
Arben can scream, "Who
So,
was that?"
alas, Lancelot is not in line of sight, though.
Oh,
You can't see him right now. But so that's why I think this read a tent situation is happening more or less instantaneously. So you can ask two more questions before you have to decide what next step to take.
I know a question I'd like to know
Ask
too.
who is most vulnerable, because anytime you take an action against them, you'll get a +1.
Mhm.
So
which of these two would be most vulnerable to a distraction? Since a distraction would probably be the best way to get it.
Okay. It seems very clear that the person who's with you is the junior of the two, and less experienced. And you think that it's possible that not only would they be more subject to being fooled, but it might also be something that the senior would rush to see what's the matter if they were in trouble. What I will suggest as the third question, because it kind of will get to some of the other questions you were trying to ask earlier too, is who is in control here?
Yes.
Yes.
No. So, if all of you have suggestions for these, you don't have to wait for me to say them. You can help each other with this.
Yeah. Because I can't. Listen, I can't think of anything. I'm trying to think of our way out of this, and I'm also still
Yeah.
very mad
Okay.
that they accused my friend.
Who's in control here?
Yeah.
Who is in control?
Okay. So as far as vulnerable, you think that the junior of the two guards would be easier to fool from a diversion standpoint, and it's possible that if they thought they were in trouble, that the other one would come running.
also, if you can tell Lancelot that you need our help, that we need support, I can go to Greta for support here too. So,
Yeah. So
that's that.
Yeah.
So I will answer that the who is in control here. It's a little bit meta, but I would absolutely right now say that the person who is in control here is the person who planted that bag in the barn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so in that sense, then I think you, as part of your good role, you're intuitively coming to the conclusion, Clem, that is not Lancelot's bag. Someone put that there. And that someone is trying to frame you.
Yeah.
Like you were worried it might be these guards, but it looks like they wouldn't have even had a chance to do it because someone else did it already.
Start an argument.
Time to steal the
Yes,
bag and burn down the barn. That's the only thing left to do.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Tempting, but no.
He looks at David's character,
Nigel.
Nigel.
and goes, "What on earth did you pick this assignment for from the mayor? I mean, Lancelot," he says that very loudly, "is not even here," and does and kind of shoves you.
So I'm gathering that you're setting this up for a diversion, which is absolutely the trick and NPC move.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm hoping that Nigel can assist me with this.
yeah, well, certainly this is a good one for assisting. But you can wait to do that until after you know what the role
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So you are trying to set up a fight to act as a diversion here.
Yep. And I definitely want Lancelot to be able to hear me say his name. Oof.
is, and what's that roll with? Finesse?
No, that's cunning.
Oh, okay. 2 and a 3. So that's a 7.
Okay.
So the +1 from help wouldn't help.
Right.
So
Well,
you get
so
it, okay.
like so at the same time, that I think there's a couple. I was just looking because there's some of you can do yeah. So I don't think any of you have that connection. Some of you can, if you have the right connection. Sometimes it's like if I help them, I can give +2 instead of +1. But you would need it to get to a +10 to a 10 to change the outcome. But so as you sorry, I'm pulling up the move here. So on a 7 to 9, there is. So on a hit, they take the bait and do what you want. On a 7 to 9, they can instead choose one of the following 3, which is to hesitate, give you stumble and give you a critical opportunity, or overreact and you take +1 forward against them. And so instead of them just obviously doing exactly what you would have wanted, it could be one of those. Or I could decide instead that it's that they just fall for it anyway. So I think.
I have an idea for they give a critical opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gets their attention, and Lancelot here's the thing. It's like, and basically there's an opening for him to come and
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
help.
Well, yeah. So how about this? I don't want to. I'm not going to have any of us I'm not going to have Clem's move dictate what Lancelot does. But I think what I will do is, certainly as you are starting to fight, the guard that's with you is like, "Hey, wait a minute. Come on, let's just cool it." And the other guard does, at least for the moment, stop his search, and he comes to the main entrance of the barn, the big double doors, which is not the only way in, but it's just like the big main door. And so he has temporarily stopped his search, and he's come to the door and looking out at the rest of you and saying, "What's going on out there?"
Okay, so at this point, my name's been called.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely focus on the barn. So I'm going to try to peek in the barn from another way in
Mm-hmm.
and see if I can figure out what's going on without having to be told. So I think
Right.
I'm reading a tense situation.
Well, so I think I would have you make because you have the sneak feat,
Nope.
or no. So
Yeah,
so
I do.
it might have been a trust fate to attempt
Okay.
the sneak roguish feat, but because I established that you get a they stumble, you get a critical opportunity. The critical
Okay.
opportunity in this case is that they are distracted and you don't have to make the move. You can
Okay.
get to where you're trying to go. And they have not
Okay.
noticed you yet, although as soon as they kind of turn back around, if you're in the barn, they're going to see you.
Right. So I want to.
Yeah.
What
If you
do we need to do? What do we need to do as player and game master
Mhm.
for Lancelot to see the bag and know that it needs to be gotten rid of?
Yeah, so I think what you are aware there's a tense thing
I know
happening.
there's a bag. Lancelot doesn't know.
Yeah. So I think what happened. Oh, sorry, I'm adjusting things. You manage with your critical opportunity to sneak up to the barn and look inside.
Okay.
As soon as you do, I mean, you were in here not long ago,
Right.
right? It was only like maybe 20 minutes ago
Okay.
that you had
Okay.
been going through the papers. You went to give them to Greta, and then you were washing up afterwards. And now there's stuff happening, and you kind of peek back in there, and you definitely see in the corner is a bag that was not there before.
Okay. There's certain. I don't need to know why this bag needs to not need. I don't need to know the whole situation to know they're searching the barn. There's a bag there that wasn't before.
Yeah.
We're being set up. And the bag needs to be gone.
I think that,
So-
yeah.
So I want to dash in, grab the bag, and dash out without being seen. And
Okay.
yeah, since I do not have any sneaky feats whatsoever, I'm trusting
Sleight of hand.
Yeah. So what? So
Nope.
what are?
Don't
Yeah.
have it.
No. Well, you
Okay.
do. You do have sleight of hand.
Oh, I
Your
have sleight of
roguish-
hand?
Your roguish feats are pick, locks, and sleight of hand.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to use sleight of hand, even though my finesse is -1.
Yeah. So I think sleight of hand in this context. What I'm going to say here is that this bag it's not huge, but for most folks, it would be difficult to conceal on their person. However,
Right.
I will allow in this context, especially because you've got your fancy cloak, that you can attempt with your sleight of hand to step in there and hide the bag inside your cloak.
Okay.
Now, that will not hide you from them necessarily,
Right.
but at the very least, they also didn't know you were there at all before. So,
Right. Right.
and
I've-
whether or
and
not
I've got-
you get,
yeah.
So-
Let's do it one step at a time.
yes, so you can now attempt to get that bag and conceal it on your person by making the attempt a roguish feat move, which is
Yeah.
rolling with finesse.
Yeah, which is not my best. Not my best stat.
Is that
But
something?
I rolled an 8 with my -1 makes a 7.
Okay. So on a hit, you achieve your goal, and on a 7 to 9, so you can either mark exhaustion or you can accept one of the risks of your roguish feat, which include things like draw unwanted attention, leave
I'm
evidence, or weak
gonna
results.
mark exhaustion.
Yeah, that
I'm not gonna-
seems appropriate right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so here's, I think, we'll cut back to the rest of you right now. Clem and Nigel are having kind of a shove
Shoving
fight,
match.
right?
Shoving match.
Yeah. And so right now, the guard that's right with you is making a half-hearted attempt to get you to stop it, but he's also kind of, I mean, if you're fighting, maybe you'll say something important. So he's not necessarily trying very hard to stop you. And then the other guard is standing at the double door of the barn, looking out at you and like, what the hell? And incidentally, I think one of the senior guard is a fox, and the junior guard is a mouse. You don't know their names. But Arben and Peppa are looking past that senior guard in the big door of the barn now, and you've just seen Lancelot sneak in through the back door, pick up that suspicious bag, and put it under his cloak.
Right. So we got to give Lancelot some cover. So I'm going to go up to the guard at the front of the bar and say, please help me stop these two idiots before they start hurting each other. Please. I know they both have tempers. You wouldn't believe a capybara has a temper, but he doesn't. When the turtle gets upset, he
Yeah.
breaks
Me,
his
he'll rip your
Yeah.
face off.
Yeah, and you'll see Peppa try, flapping her wings, trying to pull Clem back by the grip that she has on his shell, and it looks really, really ridiculous.
Okay. So this sounds like a persuade an NPC move,
Okay.
which
what
is
stat am
rolled
I
with
rolling?
rolled with charm.
Persuade or trick.
Well, I guess I would allow a trick could also make sense. I think because it's not really a separate trick. It's kind of the same trick, but
Okay.
I guess I will potentially allow you to decide which one you would prefer.
Yeah, I think it's trick because cunning is better than my charm.
Okay.
I'm the gruff warrior, remember?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I actually want to just double check is one of your moves is hang on, I want to just see if I'm misremembering how that one works. I was thinking knowing the Lord's will. That you took.
Yeah.
That would be figure out a denizen of status, authority, or power. I think
Yeah.
that's
That's for the mayor or
yeah,
or
and
that
that's
beaver.
more about figuring out a character. So I would theoretically allow that to like this character to be at least in the immediate circumstance someone with power or authority, but you're not really trying to figure them out. You're trying to
But
No, yeah, I'm
you
just trying to
do-
trick.
you do get a +1 because you are acting off the information I gave you.
Oh,
It's
also,
true,
knowing
yeah.
the Lord's will, when you trick a density, when you trick a density of status, authority, or power by playing subordinate, roll with might instead of cunning.
which version are you?
Oh, I'm looking at the latest version.
Oh
Turn
yeah,
on
no, you're right.
7.1.
Yeah, so yes, when you trick a denizen of status, authority, or power, yeah.
And that's
So-
what I'm doing here.
Okay, so but I would and you so and not only that, but you are implying, even though you are a very capable fighter, you're implying that you need this guard. help.
I need his help. Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
So
So
Clem's kind of a large turtle.
Yeah.
That shell's pretty big
So-
and heavy.
so so go ahead and do your might roll, and then
All
depending
right.
on what you get, I might want to see a little bit of role play of you playing subordinate.
That would be a 10.
A 10. Okay, yeah. So a 10 with a trick is going to be basically they do what you want. And it's as simple as it is. But I do need a little bit of role play that is specifically about how you are getting him to come and help by making it appear that you are subordinate to him.
I mean, I'm going because he's a fox and I'm a bird, so we're both hunters. But I'm going to kind of lower myself a little bit, kind of crouch down, not look at quite as martial. Look a little more beat up old warrior than strong healthy warrior. Like almost even like limp a little bit. It's like please, like I mean, your companion can't help. He's a mouse. We need your help to keep these two from breaking each other apart. Please, I've had this problem ever since we've gotten together. It's like I can't do it. Please help me, please.
Okay. So I think that there's a moment where you're coming over to him and he's kind of feeling like, no, you stay where you are. But then you're just looking so in need of his big, strong assistance. He's like, all right. And he's heading your way. He's like, come on, break it up. What's going on here? And so we'll resolve that in a moment. But for sure, Lancelot, you have been given an opportunity to slip back out the back door.
Definitely slip out the back and keep the barn between me and them as I run off into the
Into the night.
into the night. Well, 'cause we established that it's late, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the
So-
second time in 2 sessions where you literally run off clutching an item in your cloak like
Yeah.
We are now 1 for 3.
So, in the meantime, I need a little bit more of this fight from Clem and Nigel. So,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
if you hadn't have decided to help the mayor, we wouldn't be looked at as criminals. This is as bad as when you didn't let me work on the machine with the noodle incident. I told you I needed more time.
There's only there's only so much time that can be taken. And, yeah.
I
When-
mean, I'm
when-
not a perfectionist, but seriously, those noodles could have hurt someone. And now you've got the mayor thinking Peppa's a squirrel.
Peppa decides to chirp in with an offended tweet.
That tail looked like somebody's cast off sheddings. Her tail is far prettier than that.
It's not my fault that the mayor that some people here can't tell one person from another.
No, that's just discrimination. Are you saying that the mayor's a speciest?
I think it might be at that point that
Well, yeah. So what I was going to next ask is, when the senior guard, the fox, does show up and kind of wades into the middle. There's been no weapons drawn, so he really is
Yeah.
kind of just like he's getting his hands between you and he's pushing you apart and he's like, all right, enough of that. How much are you like resisting,
Oh.
or do you let him break it up?
Clem lets him break it, but he kind of like bumps his carapace against him and goes,
Yeah, you better be glad he got between us, or I'd hit you with my hammer.
Not again.
and Nigel just kind of rub his shoulder like he got hit, like
Yeah.
he's remembering
Yeah.
something, and just back up.
Yeah, and there's a moment, Arban, where the fox guard watches that and then turns back to you and says, "All right, okay." Really? Yeah. But certainly, by the time that seems to have calmed down a bit, the guard is just saying, "Listen, it's just going to take me a few more minutes to finish searching the barn. Just stay calm here. If I don't find anything, then we're going to be done with this for the evening. Now, if you think I am going to find something, maybe tell me now and we'll make it easier on you."
No,
We've
officer.
already told you there's nothing in the barn.
and at this moment, seeing that Lancelot skirted away and the bag is no longer there, Clem goes inside his shell. You just see there's two legs.
Yeah.
Just two
They're
legs.
like, okay, so if the rest of you want to make like your friend there for a moment, just keep it calm, keep it cool, and we will be done with this in a minute. All right?
All right.
We're just doing our
Thank you,
jobs.
officer.
All right. And so the fox guard goes back in, pokes around the barn for a little bit, does kind of stand looking in the corner where the bag was, and just got a little and then turns around and eventually comes back out and just says, "Looks clear to me. So I think go back to the mayor, and I mean, look, all of you, I don't know what's going on here. So I don't know if there's going to be more investigation or what. They told me to search the barn. I did. I didn't find anything. I'm going to tell them that.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you, officer. I'm still doing that kind of submissive sort of thing in my voice. Thank you, officer. Thank you. We appreciate that.
All right. So, the guards leave you and they head back into town.
So about 3 minutes after they're gone, then I will let out a bird call, hopefully that will bring Lancelot back.
Well, I
calling him
mean,
by
like
name, but
it's.
yeah.
I think it's not full dark yet. It's like it's dusk. Like
Yeah.
there's still a little bit of light in the sky, and I think. How hard are you trying to hide, Lancelot?
I am okay. This is a farm.
Yeah.
Chances are good there's not a lot in the way of woods right nearby. So,
No, not really.
so Lancelot's gonna toss. Okay, we don't have animals.
Bushes?
No,
I mean,
no.
You could go back to the well.
He's gonna throw it down the well.
All right. Okay.
And make sure he hears a splash that it land in the
Yeah.
bucket.
Yeah. So do you check inside it at all, or you just like you don't even waste the time with it? You just
Just, yeah, just, I cannot afford a wider search.
Mhm.
I cannot afford to be caught with this.
Yeah.
I don't know how urgent things are.
Mhm.
Down the well.
Okay. Yeah.
And besides, I am deciding that Lancelot's kind of impulsive.
Sure. So what I'll tell you is that I think just, as you toss it and you hear it splash, and then burps a couple of bubbles and sinks out of sight. It's certainly dark enough in there that like no way anyone could see anything in it now. And probably not when it in daylight either, because the well's deep enough that it's shadowy at the bottom.
Oh, by the way, Lancelot, what happened to that drug stash that, that was hidden in the...
What I would say is that your impression from the bag was a little bit strange. Like there's a few bits in there that felt like they maybe could be like jewelry or stones of some kind, but then there's also some just like squishy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No question.
All right.
Toss it.
All right. So I think then that if you had just run back there by the well, immediately dropped it in there, and then maybe just kind of like listening to see what else is
listening
happening.
and well, no, actually, nonchalantly washing my cloak.
Okay. Yeah. So I think as you resume that activity, but keeping a keen fox ear tuned, you hear the guards wrapping up their whole thing and leaving.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Once the guards are out of earshot, I look at Nigel and go, "Thanks for playing along."
It was a little unexpected, but it worked.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time, seeing as someone in this town doesn't like vagabonds and obviously wants to get us ixnayed out of here, or worse.
Indeed.
I
Yes.
wonder where Lancelot is.
Oh, yeah, and why was he covered in mud?
To be honest, I
To
I
escape the
imagine
fire.
the story will be interesting either way.
Lancelot! Oh, Lancelot!
We're
Where
off-
are
we're-
you?
I'm going to go see if there's if somebody made dinner.
Yeah.
I've got too exhaustion, man. I'm tired.
Yeah. So you missed the dinner that is ostensibly provided. However, Lancelot can inform you that you are currently in the possession of a virtual IOU for 10 value, like 10 coin, because that was the agreed upon reward for finding proof of the Marquis's intentions.
And in fact, once the situation has calmed down, I will come back with a shaking the water out of my cloak, and looking for a place to hang it up to dry. It's like, so he looks around, makes sure there isn't anybody listening in.
Yeah.
What was all that about?
Well,
Frame up.
well, Peppa got attacked by the thief, tried to stop them, and then got blamed on being the thief. The mayor sent guards to check the barn, and now there was a bag in there that definitely wasn't ours.
And who suggested searching the barn?
It was that assistant to the mayor.
The beaver.
I don't think she likes us very much.
No, I think I don't think she has it in for us. I think that we are a convenient scapegoat, and she wants to discredit the mayor. That all these thefts are because it's not anything valuable. It's all these weird things, right? Nobody's actually getting hurt by any of these thefts. Nobody's actually missing anything important.
Well, Yes and no. So today, Nigel and I were in the mayor's office looking over records, and Nigel found, because Nigel is an excellent archivist, found something rather interesting, didn't you, Nigel?
Yes, I did. And in when Venick was in the office, he was collecting some papers, specifically the same records that I analyzed.
So we'll explain about the whole thing with the seed bank and everything. So there's
And recall
some-
too that I had let you know that you were sure that information would be of high value to the Marcus 8.
exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So there's some funny politics going on in this clearing.
Right, but if that information were to get to the Marcusate, it also would discredit the mayor. So I don't think that that necessarily disproves my theory.
Okay. So what did you
but-
find? Were you able to find anything in the papers? Do you know what's going on?
Oh, yes. I don't know precisely what's going on, but the Marcusate has a deadline for getting control of this clearing, because if they don't get control by then, they're worried the Grand Duchy will. So they're caught in a vice here. And quite frankly, my first thought is, how about we get our pay and get somewhere else? Because this
Yeah.
clearing is about to get really interesting, really fast, and it's not the fun kind of interesting.
Yeah. Just based on our prior experience with the Grand Duchy, I think Nomi is wanting them to. I think that she's one of their agents on the ground.
Well, she's been here a long
well,
time, though.
That doesn't mean anything. They could have spoken to her because of the way she is so specifically regimented. I think that the Grand Duchy's propaganda would really, really appeal to her. Venick, when I spoke to him, he liked me because I was crazy. He thought I was crazy because I kept asking questions and I didn't back off, even though even though I'm about half his height. But he wasn't. I mean, he stabbed me in the back after I stole what he was trying to steal. I stole it from him, and then I took off for the window, and he stabbed me in the back. So he's more violent, I think, than the mayor is prepared for.
More violent towards a vagabond.
No, I think more violent towards somebody getting in his way. I don't think it would have mattered to him whether I was a vagabond or a person who was in the clear, who was a resident here. I didn't get the impression that he would have cared.
Do you think that he could be maybe like a Robin Hood sort of character?
No,
Trying-
because he could not explain why he stole the pumpkin. I specifically asked why he stole the pumpkin. He said it was too big. What kind of reason is that?
I was an agent of chaos.
He wants things to be chaotic so that something, if he is working for somebody like the Grand Duchy or the Corbett conspiracy or even the Marcusate, or even if it's just himself and this is the way he gets his jollies, I think because of that chaos, he is opening doors.
To the Marquisate or the Duchy to come
Or
in.
both.
Or both. In which case we'll
Because-
get a battleground.
Because if the mayor can't guarantee the safety of the people in the clearing, they're going to start looking elsewhere. And looky here, the Marquisate have guards. They have professional soldiers.
And we're building
Or-
a recruiting center.
So,
Yeah, so-
just to set the scene while this conversation is happening, I don't want to interrupt this good stuff. I just want to establish that if you checked in with the farmhouse, Greta has gone into town, but she has you do meet Greta's son Vost, who is VOST, also a badger, who has been instructed to give you whatever you need within reason. And so if you're looking for a meal, they do have some leftover baked potatoes and like corn off the cob, like it's been sheared off the cob, and they have that for that they can give you for some dinner. And so they've given you some little like lunch pail style like trays that you can take with you into the barn, that you can be munching on all of that while you
Okay.
talk.
I would like to use my extrovert nature and clear exhaustion when I share a moment of real warmth, friendship, or enjoyment with someone, and that's the rest of the party.
Okay. Well, so I absolutely will allow that, but I would like to see it dramatized.
Okay. So Lancelot, while while we're discussing what's going on and having our meal, is kind of says, so to sum up our day's activities, we have gotten a job, gotten potentially paid. We've pissed off some important people, which is par for the course. We have helped each other left and right, and I have to say, you fellows are the merriest band of miscreants I have ever had the privilege of traveling with. And he's gonna just walk up to Clem, who seems to be the most standoffish, and just give him a big old hug and pat on the shell, and say, so what do you say, after we've gotten a good night's sleep, we hightail it for somewhere else? This is a bit too warm and spicy for my palate.
Shucks. Thanks for the hug. You're far more than just being pretty. You got some brains in there. And you read that situation far better than I'd hoped. Because I was hoping.
It would have helped if I had found out beforehand, but I guess there wasn't an opportunity, so here we are. It worked out. I just hope there wasn't anything unpleasant in that bag.
Well, whatever it is, it's at the bottom of the well now. And remind me to take a look at your tail before we head out in the morning. Because I agree with you. If the mayor wants to believe his assistant, even though he's been trying to be very quiet about everything, I don't think our stay here can be very long.
We made a nice profit. Oh, and hey, you know what? If we've been given, basically that we can ask for things, can I clear my depletion?
Well, so let me. So you have not yet been paid, but
Right.
when you have coin, you can essentially clear a box of depletion for one coin, one for one.
Oh, okay.
And it works the other way too. Like if you needed a coin to buy something, you can mark depletion to have it. The depletion,
Okay.
just for everyone's record, one of the things that you can also do with your depletion is if it ever you ever want to say like, is it reasonable that I would have a specific item that's not uncommon, but it would be especially useful right now? You can potentially say, I would just like to have that, and you mark depletion to just have it.
That's very useful. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. I like games that have that kind of situation.
Right. So the depletion is always meant to be an abstract representation of all of your supplies and gear. And so it can not necessarily be always one for one with coin, because that's why we track it separately, but you can exchange
Right.
between them.
Right. Okay. So
So you have not received your coin yet, but when you have coin, you can.
well, when it comes time to get paid, I can say, oh, rather than coin, I'd like to, have a few supplies, and she can do that. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
And
So
my thinking about Venick and all that stuff from like a political leaning, would I be able to use my lore master move to like,
probably. Hang on, I'm just I'm looking at that the description of that move. So your lore master, when you consult your knowledge in order to understand a political conflict, roll with cunning. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely the exact sort of you want to know more about like what something like this reminds you of in terms of
Okay.
your past study of all different things.
Can I clear exhaustion?
For your friendship moment, yes.
Okay.
And then assuming that you all get a night's sleep, you all can clear 1 box of exhaustion for that.
okay, I got a 9.
A 9. Okay, so that means on a 10 plus, you would get to ask a follow-up question. But so you don't get that. But I will give you an answer. And so what I'm telling you, what information you remember that completes your understanding of the messy situation. And I think that based on your study of a lot of these types of clearings and communities and just the way you've seen these things play out before in similar power dynamics and political structures, you're wanting to know about the Venick situation specifically?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like does it match? Like, could it be a political power play?
Right. Well, so you all have the benefit of knowing that you didn't do it, right?
Yes.
And so here's the thing. Too much of what has just happened has been so directed to frame you. Not necessarily framing, but like the documents that you and Arbin looked at today, those were what was being stolen today? It was a pretty small number of people that knew what you looked at. So why today?
2 people know.
And it occurs to you, well, 2 people you know that you know of. You theoretically they could have told someone else you wouldn't know.
Theoretically.
But it's also in principle something that they are intending to keep secret. Right? And so the fact that that's what's being stolen is complicated bookkeeping documents, and that it's all associated with deliberately random crimes. You think that the crimes are 100% a distraction. Like, Venick's thefts are a distraction from something else. And now, the thing they tried to steal today was the proof that the seed vault exists. And they decided to do it on the day that that was discovered by outsiders.
I think perhaps we should have we should make sure that the mayor checks the contents of the seed vaults, make sure that it is actually as full as he expects. Because the thefts, they're a distraction. But what would they distract from that would also lead to the theft today?
Do you think that he maybe, or there could be a way that other things are hid in the seed vaults instead of seeds? Or maybe someone's giving these seeds to the Marquisate because they could use those to supply their troops in case they have a long conflict against the Grand Duchy.
I am not entirely sure what where they might be going, but the day an outsider discovered the seed vault is the day they decide to steal the records, the only records that point to its existence. That is
Yeah.
that is strange.
I have to agree with Lancelot here when I say that she may be ready to use us as a convenient ploy to take down the mayor and fulfill whatever plans she has. Because obviously, if we hadn't shown up, who was she going to blame it on?
Venick, the evil thief, did everything. But we show up, and we're the new hot scapegoat. I mean, we're vagabonds. We're not from this. We're not from this
Well-
community. She took one look of us and thought, "Hey, now they can be used."
Well, I'm fine. Why? It's pretty clear that we've been set up, and it's probably by noon. But why would she want to do that? Now, personally, I think the reason why is because we were friendly with the mayor. I don't necessarily think that she is. I don't know where her loyalties lie. She might be with the Grand Duchy, she might be with the Marquisate, or she might just be ambitious on her own behalf. I don't think it really matters. She wants to discredit the mayor. Because if her setup had worked, if we had been found with the things that the thief stole, then she would be able to foment more distrust against the mayor and possibly get him replaced. Again, could be Grand Duchy, could be Marquisate, could be her own. I don't think it even really matters. But if we want, so this comes back around to what do we want to actually do? Do we want to stay and investigate that further and, quite frankly, embroil ourselves in this even deeper than we are? Or do we want to find somewhere else to be? Now, Greta is bringing what she found to the the rest of the farmer circle tonight. That's, she's when I brought her this, she was very surprised to find out just how bad things are. So I think that we might want to just wait and see what she comes back with when she comes back. But, and I should have mentioned this earlier. I told her that if she wanted assistance in fortifying the town against Marquisate and Grand Duchy plans, that we could be persuaded to help out. But I wanted to talk to you before we did that. Now, mostly I told her that in order to make her think that I was going to stay around. But do you actually want to do that? Now, personally, I think these people are a little stuffy for my tastes. And quite frankly, I would like to see if we can find our way over to Rooston because I would really like to pick up a musical instrument. And I find myself with sufficient cash. And so if we can get that far and still have the coin in our pocket, I'd be able to pick up what I want. But that's just me. And if you guys want to stay a little longer, I'm okay with that. I'm better off with you than going on my own. So, as I've said, best crew I've ever been with. So, what do you guys want to do? Do you guys actually want to continue investigating this? Or, as I would prefer, we move on?
I think we all should talk and then give one single vote, and we'll figure out as a group what we do. So your vote is leave.
I think that's probably the most prudent thing to do.
All right. Clem.
I personally think that the odds are stacked against us if we don't want to use violence. And so I also vote on leaving, with the caveat, though, that we steer clear of Clutcher's Creek, if at all possible. For reasons.
Peppa.
Lee?
Muted?
Yeah, I'm muted. I'm trying to think about what Peppa would want to do. I'm
If you name it,
really,
I'll go to.
I'm really, really mad.
You shed
Don't
blood
listen.
over this.
They don't listen. They don't appreciate what we've tried to do for them. I also vote leave. And if we head south to Oakenhold, that's where my family is. So we'll definitely have a warm welcome there. But right now, I'm just really, really mad.
We have a majority already, Nigel, but I would hear your voice and then I'll provide mine.
I really do not wish to leave a job unfinished. Even if these people do not like us, there is, if the seed vault is being ransacked, that is people's lives. So I vote stay at least until.
Do we have any indication that the seed vault is being ransacked? I mean, right now it's still secret.
But I feel like the records being, them attempting to steal the records today is an indication that somebody does not want people to look there for some reason.
And to play devil's advocate, the only people who knew about that from today was the mayor, Arban, Nigel, and the assistant. So if she's trying to frame us, today would be the day.
I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't gone after Venick today.
That is a real question.
Nomi, I
Would
know
he have-
exactly what would have happened. Nomi would have discovered that the records were missing because she knew they would be. She would have discovered that they were missing, would have accused us of having stolen them earlier in the day instead of when you went after her, and then would have planted the evidence in the barn.
Or the more evidence that you found and dropped in the well, like, look, they really are thieves.
Right.
Now,
I don't think it would have gone all that differently if you hadn't been there. Now, the fact that you were there and you got injured in it, that's a wonderful thing for evidence that we are not in fact the thieves they were accusing us of. But yeah, but all of that doesn't really matter that much if we leave, because these people are going to have more problems on their hands than just a thief stealing weird stuff when the Marquisate and the Grand Duchy decide that they actually need this spot and are not willing to play nice to get it anymore.
Okay. So do you want to just stay here for like another day and see what happens with the documents and what Greta says and maybe get paid and then
Yeah, I think we
make a
should stay
final
here.
decision?
Stay here overnight, get paid, find out what Greta has to say. But unless there's some really good reason to stay,
I vote with Nigel, though we're outvoted, that I would prefer to stay for interconnected reasons. There is this seed vault here, and that amount of grain and that amount of food is wealth and power, and I don't want it to falling into the hands of the duchy or of the Marquisate. So Sundell has inadvertently made themselves, to use a military term, a strategic target for both.
well, they always were, because
Now
they
even
send
more
food
so.
all over the region.
Now they've more are.
One thing that I'll just chime in here is that obviously you all are entitled to have it be the straight up vote that you've already talked about, but I will remind you all too of the plead within a PC move that each of you can make once per session, where if the other person will agree to do what you want, they can clear one exhaustion. And so I'm just offering that in terms of however
Yeah.
you decide what you decide, you can potentially make use of that move to clear some exhaustion if you need to.
Yeah, I think when it's ready to leave or not, I might try that. But and also, I am no friends with the Marquisate or of the Duchy, and I would, especially and since the Marquisate already has her claws unsheathing into this town, I'd rather not leave them to their tender mercies.
Well,
Well-
let's see what she has to say in the morning.
And also,
Agreed.
and also, none of us here like the Grand Duchy. And
No, some of
I-
us fought the Grand Duchy. Well, with Nigel.
And so I also think we can all agree that even if we don't like the Marquisate, they're a better inhabitor of this town than the Grand Duchy. Though, honestly, as long as none of them make me go home, I'm okay. So
All right.
again,
Well, let's sleep on it and see what our employer has to say in the morning.
All right. So, as you all can get a full night's sleep, you can all have the opportunity to clear one box of exhaustion for that, if you didn't already. And so then you wake up in the morning. Are you like up with the sun? What are you doing?
I think we're up with the sun because that's when breakfast is.
Some of us do
I-
martial exercises at sunrise.
Oh, speaking of which, Lancelot wants to do some sparring with Arbin.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Up for it.
So I get a hold that I can use to use one of your roguish feats or weapon skills that you have as if you have it. And or ask them how they see the world and spend +1 forward to prove them right or wrong.
Okay.
And I'm actually gonna do I have to pick which of those I do now? I think it kind of implies that I do.
I think so, because it's intended to reflect what you were practicing with them.
Right. So looking at Arbin's stuff, I would like to have the blindside feat.
Yeah. I am built to hit things.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
So,
So
blindside,
yeah. So for today, if you needed to blindside someone,
I could do it
you could try it, give it a shot. Whereas any other time, as with other roguish feats, anytime someone would want to try something and you don't have the feat, you are trusting fate instead. Okay, so yeah, as you kind of wake, you hear some activity starting outside. They have the various farm employees, starting to come in and get their stuff, and they're setting up for breakfast.
Yep, we want to go like we have and just sit down with them and get our food.
Okay. They have some kind of savory pies, little hand pies
Okay.
for breakfast today. I think as you are getting your breakfast, you do you spot kind of over by the house where you can see. You make eye contact with Greta, who she kind of gives you the sort of head shake of like, "Come on in when you're ready." When she goes inside the house.
You go on ahead. I'm still kind of muddy. I don't want to be tracking all this inside the house.
Realize you're quite that fastidious.
Well, so here's a question. This
No,
is
you know what?
actually-
I'll kind of walk up to the door. And by now the mud is all kind of caked and dried
Right.
out.
Well, the other thing I actually want to just call back to, this was mentioned earlier. I'm imagining that you did explain to them about your tale, right?
Oh yeah.
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 So I think Clem had said at one point that repair is one of Clem's moves. Now it's usually intended for like clearing wear on like a piece of equipment or something like that.
Right.
But
But maybe he's got some way of obscuring that.
yeah.
Maybe.
So I think here, let me look at the.
I could jury rig you a new tale.
Oh, not another fake tale.
Yeah, we don't want
Yeah.
to do that because then they'll say, "Oh, well, look, they did it to this guy."
Okay.
Yeah, we have enough troubles with fake
Yeah.
tales.
So the condition I would set basically is you need like there's a special there's a
Maybe we
special
just
kind.
need fox hair.
Yeah, I was kind of getting close there. Is that there's a type of dye that some foxes will use when their muzzle starts to get a little silver.
Okay.
Okay. And you know that if you had a little bit of that, you could make Lancelot's tail look good as new.
Okay. So yeah, I'll clean up and I will clean up and when we go into the house.
Yeah. Incidentally, I think as Clem points that out, Lancelot, you're just thinking back. Old widow Laceborn absolutely would have some of that stuff. Anyway.
Okay.
So are you all going in, or is Lancelot staying behind?
Yeah, I'm going in.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
I'll have
like,
cleaned up.
yeah, Greta's not the one that's going to care if your tail is singed.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she's not going to care if it's singed. She would care if I tracked a bunch of mud into her house. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so she calls you in and has you come into one of her sort of back rooms and just says, "So, I imagine you all are eager to get some of that coin I promised you."
I'll give a
Yeah,
nod.
yeah.
All right. So you want it just in coin or anything
Well,
else?
I'd like to get some supplies. I have my pack is not as heavy as I would like it to be.
Sure,
But,
sure. Yeah, we can work that out. And so I think we will, hand wave the actual business of that. But essentially, as promised, it was 10 value for the group. So
Yep.
you can take that as coin, or you can also imagine that you're getting some supplies instead of coin, in order to be the equivalent value, and unmark some depletion boxes if you would prefer.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
would
Clem,
be-
you're depleted quite a bit there.
yeah. So in theory, it would be like 2 each, but obviously you can divide that out however you like. She doesn't care.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do was take mine so I could get back to depletion.
I'm just gonna take some coin
Take some-
myself.
Yeah. And Peppa is going to slip, take some supplies and then slip them to Clem so that he can clear the last of that depletion. So he's on a full 0.
I would share, but I've got plans.
Yeah,
Well,
mine.
thank you. If you guys need to store anything in my shell, just say the word.
So
I would have that much.
so yeah, as all of that gets resolved, Greta is looking really kind of subdued. Like she does not seem like she's in a great mood. She's kind of trying to be all business about this part of it, but she says, "So, think y'all are planning to stick around a little longer? I mean, sure we could find some more work for you if so."
We have some things we need to say around town, hopefully to help everyone as a whole,
All right.
Oh.
Well,
community as a whole.
yeah. Well, as promised, I did say a week, so that stands. If you wanted to keep staying here, you're certainly welcome. I wouldn't blame you, though, if you thought it was time to move on. I guess you probably talked amongst yourselves about what your friend Lancelot found in the.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry for breaking the secrecy of our event, but I figured it was expected.
Yeah, well, we did hire you as a group. I kind of assumed that it was the crew of you there. I hope those city guards didn't give you too much trouble yesterday.
We
What was
managed.
that all about? I mean, you know what? You don't have to. Maybe it's better. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me if you think it's a problem. But
Well,
Yes, we should mention that because you are hosting us for as long as we're here, so you should know that the mayor's assistant and us do not get along, and accusations were made that we were thieves.
if there's a denizen in this whole woodland that does get along with Nomi, I have yet to meet them.
My
she-
thoughts exactly.
no.
If I may
well, that's
ask.
an interesting thing to hear. How long has she been here?
Yes.
Oh, quite a while. I mean, she's from here.
Okay.
She grew
Because
up
she's-
here in this town. She's just always been kind of. Well, you met her.
Yes.
She was like that even as a kid.
You can't think of any situation where she might have been uncharacteristically friendly to someone that you know?
Well, I tell you, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I can't say I can think of a time. I mean, I would be astounded and shocked and think of it as one of the most anomalous moments of my entire life were I to see her smile.
Okay.
She's just been a cranky old thing ever since. Yeah, well, I mean, ever since she, came out of her mama.
Well, so is the mayor from here? Or is he someone who was not born here?
Oh no, he's been living around here too. Yeah, yeah.
But he's obviously slightly younger than Nomi.
Well, yeah, I think so. I don't think I really established their ages, but I think that's probably true.
So do you think she might be a little mad that folks around here chose him over her, seeing as she has
She's-
been
has-
here longer?
Has she stood for office?
No, I see. See, here's the thing. Nomi may be, meaner than I'm trying to think of a folksy way to say it.
A
Neither
dropped
than a kicked-
beehive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kicked beehive.
There you go. Meaner than a Kix beehive, but she's not stupid. She knows that there's no way she'd win as mayor if she ran. No way. Town wouldn't have it. Now, she's doing what she's doing. She's good at that, I guess. If you can put up with her, she'll get your books in order.
So
You
okay.
know,
So that
if
so that gets rid of the ambition idea.
Well,
Yeah.
not necessarily, because if she knows she can't beat the mayor outright, then showing that he's incompetent and sided with vagabonds, and she was the one to prove it, and she was the one to stand on the side of the town, it could curry her favor.
Now, hold on. What? I'm not sure what you're all talking about now. Like, you think? Okay, like I said, mean, yeah. What are you suggesting?
Well, we think that she was trying to frame us for the thefts around town.
Because
She
Well-
was the one who suggested that the guards search the barn. And
Yeah.
then mysteriously there was a bag there that hadn't been there before.
and
Okay, well,
You
I
know-
don't know about that, but what I'll just tell you right off the bat is it does not surprise me a bit that she would immediately blame vagabonds for any bad thing that happened in town. That seems entirely in keeping with her character.
Okay.
But she
But-
wouldn't frame.
I would not have ever guessed that, but I don't know what else is happening either. I mean, what you're describing sure does seem like a mystery to me, but I tell you, I don't know her heart, but at the same time, that would surprise me. Now, does not surprise me that she would want to blame you for anything going wrong.
it's just a lot of coincidence that all of a sudden certain things are going missing and random things are found when she wants us investigated, even though we're trying to help the mayor.
Well, okay, so here's a question though. Honestly, I don't think I would even put it past her to try to ensure that some vagabonds get run out of town. Right? But at least as far as my knowledge of her character is concerned, I wouldn't put that past her, but I don't know. I just, you're bringing up things that had never even occurred to me. Now, but it sounds like you said that she stayed behind in town though. So who are you saying put the bag in the barn?
Venick.
Because
Probably Venick.
because I feel like if she's either hired or is in control of Fennec, then that could lead to a lot of positive outcomes for her, especially if, say, the mayor couldn't figure it out. And she ended up being the one to either figure it out or turn the town against him. And just, let's say, maybe the Marquisate or someone of that nature who was backing her put her in charge when they took over.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I don't know. And please do not take offense if I say I'm not used to thinking about the motivations of people doing dishonest things. That's not
Fair.
usually my way of being. Now, that said, sometimes it's necessary. That's why I hired y'all. But at the same time, I can understand that maybe folks that are used to being a little bit more on the gray side of things are maybe going to see that stuff where I wouldn't because it just doesn't occur to me. But
Well,
I will say though, all this stuff you're talking about her wanting to make Reese look bad. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but that just doesn't ring true to me because, frankly, like I said, her biggest problem is getting anyone in town to put up with her. And so for him
And
to
he
keep her
does.
on as his assistant for so long, like, I don't see why she, like, if he goes down, they're not going to replace him with her. And whoever comes next, is he going to want to work with her? I wouldn't.
Okay.
So
no,
I don't
that's
know.
that's a. No. All right. Well, there goes my theory. Thank
I
you for all your help.
Well, sure. I mean, I tell you, I wish that was Sundell's biggest problem today.
Well, what did the farmers circle decide about what you found?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to call it decision, it seems a little bit like an overstatement, but I don't know. If we're going to be, struck behind the irresistible force of the Marquisate and the immovable object of the Grand Duchy, I don't want to see Sundell get trampled in between. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we. It was one thing if we were just going to be able to like run their recruiting office out of town, and then that'd be the end of it. We'd show them we don't want you here, and they'd say move on to another target. But I mean, if they're determined, I mean, we can't. Like they've got the 1st Regiment of the Marquisate Army up there in Patchwood, waiting to just come down here.
Something occurs to me.
Oh,
The only reason the Marquisate has their eye on Sundell so urgently is because they think the Grand Duchy has their eye on Sundell, and they would be a lot more willing to wait and see if it wasn't for the Grand Duchy's plans. So, the best way to deal with this might be on the Grand Duchy side instead of on the Marquisate side. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Draw the Grand Duchy's attention away from Sundell and this lovely pastoral
Or
community, and
Or just tangle them up in their own bureaucracy so that their plans are put on hold, or just basically make them hold off on their plans.
does this mean we need to sneak back into Iron Vein?
We might need to sneak back into Iron Vein.
Ah, crap.
So I think some of you might find yourself like a little bit taken aback to see that she's actually starting to tear up a little bit, and it's she's saying, I tell you all, I feel like I was coming out of our meeting last night thinking that we might just be forced to have to make a choice, like maybe we bring the Marquisate in, we tell them that they can come so they don't hurt anybody on their way in, and then they keep the duchy out. And like, I don't want to be under the Marquisate, but I don't want to be in the duchy either. And I definitely don't want them to burn down half the clearing fighting over us.
no. A war between the two of them would be the end of Sundell.
So
Maybe the thing to do is to go back to Iron Vein, have a look around, and just see what might be done.
Well, I mean,
Do you think the circle would be willing to reward us if we were able to accomplish something big like that?
I think so. I mean, that it seems like the sort of thing that's a little bit complicated to find out, like, is it done or not? But I mean, if it's obvious that something's changed, I mean, I definitely think that assuming we're not all paying all our coin to the Marquisate, then I think some of it could be spared for people who kept that situation from occurring.
Yeah.
No question about it. I mean, you certainly have some of mine.
Yeah.
Peppa?
One thing that you did miss yesterday from the competition Because I don't think you attended. Did you?
Well, no, but you know, some of my boys did, and they'll tell me
Yeah.
about.
Did they tell you how good Jinx did?
You know, here's the thing. Like I'll tell you, I thought for sure those things were just over marketed. Like they're either maybe they kind of work, but it's all just a setup to get you to pay for their payment plan or maintenance or whatever, and like they're coming
Yeah.
in like But the thing is, like, and I'm frankly embarrassed to hear Jinx's machine work so well because that wasn't even the one her daddy wanted to show us. And like, I mean, to give us a little credit here, it's not like we got nothing else going on, right? But I don't know. I mean, like, sounds like she's got a good little head on her shoulders there. So I mean, here, you know what? Here's some detail you probably all didn't hear. Hanging out in the barn last night. We did bring. We didn't give Reese the reason that we know this, but we did tell him what we know. And he shared a little detail. Apparently, even though Cat Lady's tent burned down, they seem happy to call that an accident. What a terrible accident that detracted away from the happy competition. And apparently, they've already sent someone out to the Callaway orchard. They're offering send Jinx away to school. Marcus 8 engineering school.
That's not surprising.
Yep. I'm not.
Go up
I'm
top.
totally not surprised. She, the machine that the guy Irwin was showing off was the best that their engineers could come up with, and Jinx got beat by a nose, by just a little bitty nose twitch.
With a machine
what
made out
she-
of junk.
Yeah, with a machine she just made out of what she could find,
Yeah, I mean,
and she was just trucking along there, and she did a great job. So even if, depending on what happens, it may be that if you convince Jinx to stay, then you could have, or if she goes off and does go to that school, maybe she comes back and she can help you guys out around here. If she decides she wants to come back.
well, I'm just saying, like, I thought all that stuff was a bunch of hooey, and it's no way to replace a good strong back. But I don't know. Some of my farmhands are coming back asking me if we can get some of that. I was about to call it junk, but I don't know. I mean, Jinx is sure smart little critter, but I don't know about all this newfangled stuff. I mean, we just always used to do it by hand. Get the right tool. You're out there. You're doing good hard work. Build up sweat.
Yeah.
Build
Well,
up your
the thing
appetite.
is that it Jinx's machine and even the Marcusette machine still requires good, strong workers in order to power them. It's not like you're flipping a switch and it goes.
Yeah.
It takes it is going to take a good, strong back to do it, but it's also it might free you up for doing other stuff.
Well,
Maybe expand the farm, maybe plant something new.
I think it might be something worth giving a try, but it seems like it's going to all be moot if the Marcus 8 marches in here.
Well, actually, if you think about it, if the Marcus Saint is here now, explains that an engineer came from this town, you never know. Maybe that'll get you some goodwill with the Marcus Saint. Because they could benefit from better technology too. They have the best of the bunch anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what the Marcus 8's offering, like, what Elaine has been spreading around, like, she hasn't come around this way because I think I gave her a bit of the cold shoulder when I saw her in town. But what she's told some of the other farmers is that the Marcus 8's all prepared to give them a consistent big customer, essentially, by, They want to be our only customer, but they certainly have demand that we can supply.
That can be dangerous having only one customer. What was that word you told me, Nigel? Monopsony, where you just have one customer?
It's monopoly.
Well-
Monopoly. Thank you.
You know, I tell you, like I'm wary of that myself, but it's also kind of a question of like if there's a war, some of our supply lines of our normal trading is, kind of, messed up. If we're just going one way. I don't know, but like here's the thing. It seems like we've maybe got a little time, but only a little. So I don't know if y'all can do something about it. You certainly would have my gratitude, and I think a lot of the other farmers around here would feel the same.
All right. Well, we were in fact planning on heading out. The attention from Nomi was troublesome.
Yeah.
But and not having us around to blame the thefts on might be helpful. And I had thought that perhaps might be better to head in the direction of Oakenhold, but I think we could conceivably go back to Iron Vein and have a look around and just see what might be done. No promises, but if there's possible reward in it for us, I think we could do that.
Well,
quite frankly, I don't like the Marquisate or the Duchy all that much myself.
Yeah.
Think that people should, generally speaking, be allowed to run their clearings the way they like, and if they decide that they want to make a nasty clearing, then I just won't go there. So that's my own personal thoughts on the matter.
yeah.
But
Well, so here's
yeah,
the
I think
I think that we can hold off for a time, but what I didn't really come to is the conclusion last night was that it seemed like if we're gonna be forced to choose, one conqueror or another, Marcus 8 at least is coming at us above ground with nice words. Now, will they stick to that? Who knows? Maybe not. But compared to the Duchy, who, so we hear, we just wake up one day with a tunnel in our town square and soldiers everywhere.
well, let's have a look and see what we might be able to do. We've accomplished some big things in the past. I want to point out, again, out of character, that the noodle incident did benefit the denizens of Iron Vein, as I recall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a denizen positive thing, and and that even though it was a heist, that should bear on on denizens' views of the affair.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Also, I'll remind you. So this is something I had kind of meant to briefly go over before we started, and then I forgot. Is that we discovered a couple of things that we didn't do when we did our session 0. They were reputation related, and once we adjusted some of those things, a few of you do have reputation modifiers that either went up or down with various things. One thing that I'm also going to mention now that I didn't mention earlier is that I think that both Clem and Peppa, by virtue of explicitly helping Jinx, have each earned a notoriety point from the Marquisate.
Okay.
This is not like a big deal. It's just more of a, who are those people helping the people that we don't want to win? And so you can go ahead and mark that. But so as far as reputation modifiers are concerned, Lancelot now has +1 with denizens, and both Arban and Nigel have -1 with the Grand Duchy. And part of what that means is that it's that meet a new person for move that we did. But there's also a few others. For example, you can ask for a favor based on reputation with someone, and then you can use your reputation modifier. And then there's also endorse new leader or vilify existing leader. Those are moves that you can theoretically do with a +1 or a -1 reputation. So I'm just mentioning that now in case it would come into play, but
But yeah, I think we'd like to discuss this in private, but I think this is an opportunity that we are aware of. And quite frankly, I would really like to see what we can do. But let's
all right,
let's retire to the barn and talk about it.
all right.
Very well.
Even if all you were able to do is show us what we're really up against, I thank you for that. And she offers to shake a paw with each one of you.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
Yep.
Oh, sure.
We'll do that.
All right.
Do we get any prestige with denizens for this?
Yeah, I think so. You can all take a +1 prestige to the for denizens.
And since I have my signature cloak, I can take an extra one.
Yeah. Well, and I will also certainly say that I think Nigel and Arban, since you're together on this, your thing also lets you take extra.
Oh, so I
Oh,
would get
yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Or I would get 2 total.
Mm-hmm.
Above.
Yeah. So because you have the partner connection, so if you are spotted together, any prestige or notoriety gains are doubled for the two of you.
And since Arban is now at 5, that means he now has that clears and becomes
you're right.
denizen
Yep.
+1.
You're right. Nice. Thank
Yep.
you for noticing that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And so prestige, ticks on iterations of 5, notoriety ticks on iterations of 3. But
Easier to
It's easier to-
yeah.
get a bad reputation than a good one.
It is.
Yep,
Yeah.
that makes
So,
sense.
and I'll also say that if you were able to actually make a difference in this new matter that you're establishing, that would certainly be more than 1 prestige for the denizens for that. But that's going to be a bigger job, as you might
Yeah.
imagine.
Yes.
So, you all return to the barn?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you say, folks? Do you want to return to Iron Vein? We could just slip out to Oakenhold and just let this situation play out by itself, or we could stay around here and look into this thief situation. Personally, like I said, I would like to go to Iron Vein.
Well, it's awfully close to Clutcher's Creek.
Would you all like to look at the map?
Yeah, map.
Okay.
I've actually got mine open here.
Yeah.
Oh, here
I've got
you-
mine
Let
open.
me.
Viewers might want to see the map.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. Viewers and listeners.
Hold on.
If you
What I've got the.
Well, it occurs to me that another option, I would like, as I said, to get to Rooston, but both Olaborough and Iron Vein are on the river, and we can avoid Clutcher's Creek by going that way to Underleaf rather than by the roads.
Hang on.
You want to go up the river?
Or we
Yeah.
could go overland from Iron Vein
Oh, there we
to Wind Gap Refuge and from there to Rooston. We don't have to
Well-
go through Clutcher's Creek.
if you wanted to take a boat, I could probably make us one. I'm not too bad around a boat.
That's another option.
Yeah. So as far as maps go, I was thinking go to Oakenhold and then go to Olaborough,
There we go.
get a boat, and then sail down to Underleaf. Or we could even sail from Olaborough to Iron Vein and come in from the other side that we didn't run away from. We
Well-
ran east from Iron Vein to Sundale. I'm trying to paint a picture for the listeners.
Yeah. Well,
And
so I'm-
Olaborough is south on the river, so we could take
I
the
have a
boat from
feeling-
Ullabro to Iron Vein.
I have a feeling they'll recognize this no matter what direction we come from.
And then we are a little time dependent. So if we're going to go to Iron Vein, I would go directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
At least it isn't right on the bridge.
Well, Arbin has a point. If we're going to help Sundale, we need to get to Iron Vein as soon as possible. Although, honestly, it does seem a bit better than getting closer to Oaken than getting closer to Clutcher's Creek.
Well, Patchwood is north of here, and it's got a Marcasite army. Oakenhold is to the south, and it's pretty clear as far as the last time I was home. But it is on the road to Clutcher's Creek, with Ullabro in the middle.
and we don't necessarily have to take the roads. Okay, first question. Do we want to help these people and go to Iron Vein? Personally, I think that's probably a good thing to at least have a look around and see what we can do. If that's
Yeah.
true, then all the other questions about where we might go are moot.
I do
All
want to
right.
help these people. I think establishing what the state of the duchy's plans are is important in order to be able to counter them or to focus on the Marcasite instead or focus on both. So I think we should go to Iron Vein and see if they're getting ready to dig east under that river and come up in Sundale.
Well, the only thing is, how are we going to find that information? Are we just looking for a visual inspection, or do we want something more concrete?
Oh, we don't
Because-
want just we know that the Grand Duchy wants to expand. We have a pretty strong suspicion that they'd want to expand to Sundell because that explains why the Marcasite is so. I mean, I trust the Marcasite's intelligence about the Grand Duchy's movements. So we don't need to know whether Iron Vein is going into Sundell. We want to know how so that we can possibly gum up the works. We don't need to know whether. We know that's true. We want to find out how so that we can possibly make things more difficult for them. Maybe even convince them not to even try. I don't know. That may be more than we can ask for. But slow them down, gum them up. They are bureaucrats through and through, and it may be that complicating things for them will throw them into a bureaucratic muddle that takes them a while to get out of.
Yeah. I mean,
they'll never stop being a problem.
You do recall various issues with like the Iron Vein control was kind of a slapdash thing as it seemed. You know, they came in full force and then left and then came back.
So
If we are to leave this clearing, I think Iron Vein directly would be the best choice.
I'm not telling you not to do that, especially since in this case with the bridge, you at least have to do some of it on the path. But whenever you travel between clearings, you can choose to do so on the path or through the forest. There are different moves and there's different like opportunities or risks that come with each. So just reminding you that the two moves exist, but obviously you choose what you like.
So I ask you, Arbin, do you want to go to Iron Vein?
Yes.
Nigel, do you want to go to Iron Vein?
Yes.
Peppa, do you want to go to Iron Vein?
Yes.
Clem, you want to go to Iron Vein?
Sure thing.
All right.
Well, we're not gonna go. We're not gonna go to Clutcher's Creek.
That's very good.
All
All right.
So-
So, with that moment of consensus, I think I am going to draw our session tonight to close.
Well, let's do our session ending.
Oh,
moves.
yes, no, definitely. I'm just saying that we'll go ahead and halt the story there for now on this very exciting development. But you are absolutely right. When we finish a session of Root, we all do our session moves, which is going through your drives. Does anyone have a drive that they think that they satisfied in this session?
I
Not-
do believe we had, and might have not been planned for initially, but we did have an illicit criminal goal that was accomplished while maintaining a believable veneer of innocence.
Certainly, you did obstruct justice by destroying evidence of a crime. That you did so without being caught doing so. Yeah. So I think one of your drives was one of your drives.
Yes.
Clean paws. When you accomplish an illicit criminal goal while maintaining a believable veneer of innocence. Yeah, I think collectively as a group you did that by avoiding getting framed for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But by avoiding it, not by just maintaining your innocence, but by interfering with the investigation.
Yeah, and
Obstruction of
also
justice.
advance. I have thrills, which is advance when you escape from certain death or incarceration.
Yeah, I think so.
Was it
So here's what I will allow.
Okay.
I gave Lancelot that last session for escaping with the burned tail. I will give it to you this session, Peppa, but I think I'm going to raise the threshold for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the intent there, escape for certain death or incarceration, it's a little bit more intended to just be, boy, if we messed something up, it would go really bad, versus I am in jail and they're going to execute me in the morning. Like, so it doesn't necessarily have to be that extreme. I'm just saying, now that you have each gotten one bump for this
Yeah.
level, the next time you want to use that one, it's probably going to have to be a little bit more intense.
yeah.
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 Or
So,
another situation where I can imagine is, we get into a really nasty fight and we managed to get away, managed to escape.
well, certainly, one of Arben's nature. He clears his exhaustion track for stuff like that. Not to mention that if you're going to travel to another clearing again, some of you are going to get bumps for that next time. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I think that I will allow you to get a bump for thrills this time, and certainly clean paws counts. Anyone have any others?
Not yet.
Okay, so
But,
we didn't really say what it was. Lancelot, do you want to say what you chose to spend your advancement on last time?
I spent mine on bumping up luck because my finesse is so terrible that roguish feats are often not my thing. So I definitely wanted to make trusting luck something that I could do more often,
Nice. Okay.
more reliably at least.
Right.
Now, looking at the moves, it's if you actually have the roguish feat. A 7 and 9 is not a terrible result, whereas trusting luck,
Yeah, it's
7 and 9 is still not great.
right. Well, that's why it's not just a replacement for having the roguish feat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm finding myself doing it a lot. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
why I picked it.
it's definitely fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, and those of you who have advancements now, if you know what you're going to pick, you can go ahead and say. Otherwise, if you want to think about it, that's totally fine too. But then the next thing, also, when the session ends, you may each decide to replace one of your drives with a new drive, replace your nature with a new nature, or replace a connection, both the type and subject, with a new connection. We keep losing poor David.
For David.
Yeah, he's usually back in a moment though, so I'm sure he'll be back along. Does anyone have a change that they're making, swapping something out?
Not
I'm going to pick something else instead of thrills, so I'll figure that out later. But I'm going to take a couple of new roguish feats, because my finesse is pretty good.
Wait. So, for your advancement, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, my thing is both of my drives potentially could be fulfilled, uh, depending on what we do with this town or in
Yeah.
Iron Vein,
Uh-huh.
and you know, depending on how much notoriety I have because of my other drive, it could also become a very poignant thing.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Uh, everyone, if you're all set with that, or you need to think about it some more, then that's great. But in the meantime, thank you everyone for listening and or watching. Please help us spread the word about this very fun game. Or I think it's very fun anyway. It's new development with the Kickstarter that they just officially released to backers, the final versions of the PDFs, and they're hoping to actually, everything's being printed and going to ship for holiday season, so that's exciting too. And
Yay.
in the meantime, remember that this is available as both video and or audio podcast, and all the other things that I do with this channel are go at christianaellis.com. So in the meantime, thanks everyone, and go have more adventure on another level. No, I need a better one for signing off for Root. Yeah. Hey, you vagabond, come up with an outro for me. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.